I'm Molly Thomas for Context TV. Since Sunday, our team has been covering various angles around this tragic Orlando shooting. You can find all of that on our website, contextwithlorna.com. But today we get to talk to Muslim cleric Imam Jebara. He joins us from Ottawa on Skype, and of course his community is dragged back into the spotlight as well right now. Imam, I'm going to get right into it. The shooter, he's alleged to have pledged allegiance to ISIS during the attack. Walk me through what it's like to be in a place again where someone used Islam to justify violence.
And a lot of times when people have a void in their lives, they try to fill it in. And from what we know of the perpetrator of these heinous acts is that he was trying to fit in the community, the gay community, as we heard from trying to be there at that same club where he did the shooting, and he was not particularly accepted because he was socially awkward. But at the same time, it seems apparent that he had a conflict of identity, because it seems that from his cultural background, this homophobic tendency made him feel perhaps self-hating, maybe to compensate for my shame, for my sin, that this is my way of expiating, in his mind perhaps, which is truly dark and a matter of concern for any community, that people would resort to such acts. And of course, whenever people commit these kinds of acts of violence to make themselves feel justified, perhaps self-righteous in their own selves, to feel like martyrs, they have to link it to some sort of religion. And we've seen that not just in Islam, we've seen it with other religions in the present time and in the past, where people would commit great acts of violence in the name of, the name of their own self, but then feel associated with a religion to give themselves this holy aura that, they're martyrs, they're doing this for a greater cause beyond their own self, the struggle within the self.
From what we know, the shooter apparently was on gay dating apps. He went to gay clubs for 3 years himself. Are our religions too restrictive for people that want to express themselves in a different type of sexuality?
We as religious leaders and clergy need to be a bit more compassionate, that people are going to have issues, people are going to have difficulties, people are going to have issues with their spirituality, with the divine, and we have to be compassionate enough to guide them, to help them, to walk them through, to be mentors, to allow the people to navigate their own ships in this world, in the turbulent seas that they're going through. We need to, instead of giving people directives, we should be giving people direction. Instead of imposing upon people, this is the way you have to be. So, okay, where are you right now on your journey in life and in spirituality? And how can we mentor you, help you from the side, but allow you to navigate, allow you to take the reins of your own horses, of your own spiritual horses, of your own ship. And I think that that's really a matter of a higher level of religious maturity, which I don't think we're there yet.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is using this situation to fuel his political objectives. He's blamed immigration, he's blamed refugees, he's blamed soft democratic policy. What do these types of words do to the Muslim community at large?
Are all Muslims bad? That rhetoric and that perspective is very harmful to generalize. Yes, there are crazy Muslims, just like there are Muslims out there who are contributing members of American society on every level, in high tech, in medicine, in education, etc., etc., etc. In sports, we just heard about Muhammad Ali just this past weekend. All right, there's a Muslim convert, etc. We hear of stories of converts who go bad. But here's a story of a convert who did pretty good, right? And some of his closest friends were Jews, etc. So yes, there are the good and the bad, but I think it's important to maintain that balance, that we don't generalize, that we don't ostracize, and we don't alienate people. Is there a problem? The community has to come up and be mature and say, yes, we do have problems and we need help. For us to say, well, Islamophobia, everybody's against us. Well, it's not going to help. I'm sorry. That attitude doesn't help. Are there people who are inciting hatred? Yes, there are. And if we're going to, as a reaction to that, say, well, oh, we have no problems and we're just being victimized, and that's not productive either. So there are problems on both sides. And I think we need to find a balance in the middle, says we do have a problem, we need help, and we're willing to work together. What can law enforcement and general community and health professionals and practitioners do to help us as a community deal with these problems? Because we are new communities, we are young communities, we are new immigrant communities. Just like all the other immigrant communities that comprise the United States and Canada and much of of North America, they had issues just like us. The Italian community had its share of issues. The Irish community, the Chinese community, all had their share of issues when they were first new communities to North America, and they had to recognize that they had issues, and they had to find ways to integrate in a healthy manner, in a balanced manner, where you can still maintain your Italian or Irish or German or Russian identity or Chinese identity, at the same time be a productive member of North American society.
Imam, how would you like to see Christians respond to your community during this time? I mean, understanding that we have a shared stake in what our future looks like.
And we've seen so many uh, positive contributions, made by by joint efforts of Muslims and Christians working together, churches, mosques, synagogues working together. We saw that pertaining to refugees. Most of these Syrian refugees who were sponsored into Canada were sponsored by Christian churches, and a lot of the ones who were sponsored by Christian churches were Muslims, right? And so that shows you a big level of cooperation. And a lot of these Muslim sponsored refugees who came here, they recognize and understand that they were sponsored by Christian churches. They have the same respect. They respect them. They understand who these people are. And they understand that they're being welcomed by Christian churches, by Christians, by people, and Jews and others who are not part of their faith, who are respecting them despite the fact they are not of the same faith, despite the fact they come from different background. They're being supportive because of the joint humanity which we have. And I think continuing in these paths is the best aspect, and not underestimating the impact and the importance of dialogue. Because once we close the door of dialogue and say, well, we're not talking, um, then we're putting up barriers and walls instead of tearing them down. Say, okay, let's talk. Let's deal with the issue. There are problems. When people are under attack, they become defensive and say, oh no, we're perfect. No, we're not perfect. We're all human beings. And because we're human beings, we are all perfectly imperfect. Simple. We're perfectly imperfect. We all have shortcomings. We all have flaws. And we all need help. Let's take steps that are calculated, that are forward, that have insight, foresight into what can we do, working together, learning from other communities, other immigrant communities who came before us, other religious communities who were persecuted as well, who had, who felt isolated or whatever, right? Okay, they've learned to fit in, they've learned to integrate and become part of society. What have they done? What did they do? What were their steps? What can we learn from them?